But what happens is, if you believe that there's very little potential, how much action are you going to take? Nothing, little. And when you take little potential with a little action, what kind of results do you get? Lousy little results. And when you get little results, what does that do to your belief? You go, see, I told you this was a waste of time, told you this wouldn't work. And then what happens? You tap even less potential, you take even less action, you get even worse results, and your belief gets even weaker. And this sucker feeds on itself until you are in a downward spiral.
It's poisonous.
It's poisonous and it's self-fulfilling. Now, what if something could happen that could come along and fill you with a sense of absolute certainty? Not like I believe, but where you know. In you guys' case, mine as well, we knew because we had to. Because we burned the boats. There was no other option. We had to find a way. We weren't going to live that way. We all did it in different ways and for different reasons, but in essence, that was it. If you get yourself in a state of certainty that this is going to work, I'm going to find a way, and if this doesn't work, I will make the way, then you tap a lot more potential. And when you're certain in your potential, you take massive action. When you take massive action, you really believe in something, you get great results. When you get great results, your brain goes, see, I told you I was a stud. I told you this thing would work out. Now you're even stronger. You tap more potential, take greater action, greater results. That's how you went from $300 in a week to $2,500 in 5 days to $100,000 in a month to $1 million in a day. Same thing with you. And we get momentum. That's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Think about planning as creating. Whenever I think about planning, I'm creating something. And you create things with both your vision and your language, and then your action. But your vision and your language will shape how you feel, which will shape what you do or don't do. So this is the part that takes more time in the beginning, takes longer, but it's so much faster, because once you know the patterns of what move you, you just use that and boom, it's like knowing the light switch to turn yourself on and rock and roll. And the reason is I'm not into pump up. I'm not into just enthusiasm. I do believe in energy, and we're going to create that here if you're up for it, because without energy, you're not going to follow through on anything. You can attend everything you've heard here, and I'm sure you've learned from some great speakers, but the vast majority of people will never apply it. That's why I'm here. Because knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. Knowledge is trumped every day by execution. And if you really want to change your life, you can't let the learning you have here lead to knowledge or become an idiot. You got to let your learning lead to action, and then you can become wealthy financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and everything else. So that's going to be my focus with you here. And part of why I'm able to talk about this is because this is my 39th year doing this. I started when I was 3, obviously.
Well, if you go into the kitchen to cook a dish, and the very first thing you get is a recipe, and you follow the recipe, and you work with the recipe, eventually you'll master that dish. Once you've mastered it and made it a few times, you can make the dish over and over again, and you'll remember the recipe. You don't have to keep going back to the recipe book. Now, if somebody says, boy, that's really delicious, you don't say, well, it's a miracle, like something out of voodoo. No, you just followed a proven recipe that had been worked out by people before you. And that's basically the secret of success. If you want to be successful in starting a business, then you study what people have learned, and everything that people have learned they've written down or shared in seminars or put onto audio programs is, I learned this from a very wise man named Kopmeyer, who spent more than 50 years studying success. And he had developed more than 1,000 success principles that he had derived out of something like 6,000 books. And when I met him, I asked him the question you would ask. Of all these 1,000 principles, because I had studied it all, which is the most important principle of all? And he said, Brian, he said, it's simple. He said, use proven success methods. He said, learn from the experts. He said, Brian, you'll never live long enough to learn it all for yourself. So what I find is that successful people are those who learn from others who've gone before them. Unsuccessful people try to make it all up, like a cook going into the kitchen, taking ingredients out of the cupboards, throwing them all in a bowl, and wondering why it doesn't taste good. This is why people's sales careers, why 80% of salespeople are functioning well below their potential. Only 20% make all the money. Why 20% of businesses in any industry make all the profits. Why 20% of the professionals in any service make 80% of the money, and so on. It's because they follow proven success principles, proven recipes, proven formulas, proven combinations. And they just do them over and over again until they master them. Then they can do more and more of them, faster and faster, easier and easier, at a higher level of quality. And all that translates into greater results.
when you're afraid of something, you have to master it. That's how you start to overcome it. So what I realized, when I get to that point where I want to quit, everybody, they get to the point where they want to quit. This is what happens. The mind tells you, let's go home. Let's take a warm shower. Let's get some food. This is not right. This is that. If you cannot answer the questions at that moment, because your mind's going to start giving you all these questions. And if you can't answer them, you're going to quit. What I realized when I was going through Bud's, Ranger School, all this 100-mile race, 200-mile races, pull-up records, my mind would come creeping in. Like when I was doing 4,030 pull-ups at 2,000 pull-ups and my hands were ripped open, my mind said, look, brother, we've done all these other things. You've proven yourself. You're good. If I didn't have the answer to respond to my mind and say why I'm here, why I'm doing this, you will always lose that fight. You have to have the response to what your mind is going to tell you. And another thing about that is self-talk. A lot of people have like these big four on mental toughness. All that's just crap about self-talk, visualization. It's true. But the thing about self-talk and all these things, they ask me, what do you think about when you're on mile 100 of a 205-mile run? What are you thinking about when you realize you've run for 24 hours and you have 24 more hours to run and you have another 105 miles? What goes through your mind?